and welcome to a very special episode of Hero Power. I'm your host, Avantes, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Zeroshio.
What is up, gang?
And Versika.
What's up, guys?
And we have a very special guest this evening, straight off of his top 8 finish at DreamHack Austin, the only player in the field to go undefeated for 9 total rounds of Swiss LanguageHacker.
Hello, how's it going, everybody?
Doing well. Glad to have you on the show. Super excited that you were able to work us into your schedule.
Well, my current schedule is catching up on sleep, so I think there's more than enough room.
Yeah, we've been talking about this, believe it or not, for a year now, because we met you at DreamHack Atlanta last July, and we've been wanting to get you on the show, and the time just didn't mesh up, and really it hasn't had a moment where we've kind of consider giving you a call again, and I'm really glad you were able to make it. That's awesome.
Schedules.
Don't tell anyone, but I was waiting for finish before.
Fair enough. Yeah, your name was one on the short list, so we get to cross a name off the short list.
That's right.
Oh, cool. Excellent.
Yeah, I think Avanti's it was like, hey, LanguageHacker's like 5-0 already in the Swiss rounds. We really should get him on the show. I'm like, yeah, we do. We talked about it a year ago.
Yeah.
And then you at 6-0, then 7-0. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna send him.
I'm getting excited over here. I'm like, guys, oh my gosh, are you watching this?
It's funny. They do their Google Calendar, Apple Calendar thing, and they take notes on their phone and stuff. I've got a pen and paper, and I've got a Levenger binder, and in this binder I've got like the top 20 people I want to have on the show, and we've only been able to knock 2 of them off. So congratulations, you're one of 2.
Oh, so honored. Thank you.
All right. Well, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to talk with LanguageHacker some more in depth about his experiences at DreamHack Austin. We're going to let Zeroshio recant a story about almost knocking him out at DreamHack Atlanta last year. But first, we do have a listener email to touch on. So,
No. It's not an email.
It's not an email. You're correct. Thank you.
Zeroshio's starvation ends today.
It is a iTunes review. It is a 5-star review from ZZ Black 69 titled My Personal Favorite. He says, "Hey, I love your podcast and share it every week to the Facebook page Hearthstone the Community. I want to invite your podcast team and any listeners to come and join. I love the discussions and knowledge you pass along to your listeners and want you to bring that into our great community. I'm in charge of podcasts and polls, so I listen to 8 of the best podcasts around. Thanks for all of the dedication and time you put into this for your fans. This is one of my favorite podcasts, and everyone looking for a great podcast will find value with each episode. If you're ever in East Tennessee during one of their fireside gatherings, stop by and meet them. They're awesome. Thanks, ZZ Black from Hearthstone the Community." So thank you, ZZ Black. We greatly appreciate your review, and we will have a link to Hearthstone the Community's Facebook page in our show notes for anyone who is interested in joining that awesome community.
And
thank you for the review.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we will make sure there's a link to Hearthstone the Community in our community page at heropowerhs.com. I've been a member of Hearthstone the Community for a while now, and ZZ Black over the last few months has become one of the major moderators, and the content was already good. It's gotten even better with ZZ Black as one of the pivotal moderators in that group. It's for anybody. Feel free to get into it. And if you are local to the East Tennessee area, ZZ Black does frequent our fireside gatherings, so you can check him out there too.
All right, so without further ado, the man of the hour, LanguageHacker. why don't you tell us, first off, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into Hearthstone, how you got your handle, and that good information.
Sure. I started Hearthstone shortly after the beta ended. My friends were proposing that they were telling me that this new card game was coming out, and at that point I hadn't played any card game. Well, I had played Yu-Gi-Oh like way long back, but that's like not at the same level. And I was kind of skeptical. We were playing, I think, WoW at the time, and we were super into it. And I was like, I don't have time for Hearthstone. We're playing WoW right now. But I picked it up eventually, as well as they did. It looked really fun. I loved that it was in the same world of Warcraft. The lore really attracted me. It was cool seeing all the stuff that I found in WoW, finally now in Hearthstone. And I also like strategic games, so it appealed to me there as well. And I started playing after that, like more than WoW, and then eventually instead of WoW. I've been playing, I guess, 4 years now, I think is when the beta ended. And I've only started playing competitively just over 2 years ago. I think maybe 2.5 years ago. But I've been finding more success as of last year. I think I started off playing Zoo most prominently, and I remember, Zoo was fun.
As we all do.
Sort of the grassroots of everybody. I remember thinking to myself, I was stuck at rank 3 for like months, and I was just playing Zoo over and over again because I kept seeing streamers, these guys are getting to Legend, they're playing Zoo, it's a good deck, I need to go off of this. And I was thinking to myself, what am I doing wrong? I don't understand. And I don't remember what happened after that, but like fast forward a year or two later, and I've hit Legend at this point a few times, and I think back to that, and I realized I didn't just, become like, a lot better overnight. This is just after a year or so of just playing again and again and learning and just practicing, it just kind of happened. And it was nice to be able to link that progress back to that initial thought where I was like, why can't I do this? Why is it so hard? Awesome. A bit about my handle.
No, go ahead. How did you come by LanguageHacker?
So my handle was kind of randomly generated, we'll call it that. I'm Romanian by background. I live in Canada, in Toronto, but I was born in Romania. So I speak Romanian fluently. I speak English, obviously, and I also speak a bit of French. When I was in elementary school, I bet we've all known one of those kids who said, hey, that guy, speaks different languages. Say something in your language. Say something in your language. How do you say this, or how do you say that? It's something I think we all go through in our childhood, or at least know someone who does that. And of course, I had a friend who asked me, hey, you could say something funny in Romanian. I don't know what to say. Say anything. Oh, okay. I don't remember what I said, but after he thought it was cool and funny, and he called me, I think, a language hacker. And at the time, I was thinking, that makes no sense and it's completely silly. Same thing, fast forward a year, when we start making usernames and stuff on the internet, I try a bunch of random generic ones. This username is taken. Okay, I don't want to put like, cool guy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I thought back, I'm like, wait a second, language hacker. Language hacker, okay, that's something kind of just abstract, but it totally works. It doesn't have a bunch of, X's and O's and numbers in front of it. So I tried it, it worked, and that's how I got my battle tag.
That's cool. Here I had this envisioned thing that you were like a language major at university and just like mastered them all.
No.
But the fact that you speak 3 is impressive.
Yeah.
So
don't ask me to speak French.
So, well, awesome. All right. So, let's talk about, you said on stream, I think, that your first major was Austin last year. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
And you finished top 16 in your first major, which was really good. And then, better than finishing top 16 was you got to hang out with us in Atlanta last year.
Yeah, definitely.
Where
that's like at least 3 rungs up.
Yeah, see, there you go. But Zeroshio, so we met up with you down there last year on the first day, and then on, I think it was Saturday morning, everybody was headed to the Congress Center for the start of the tournament for the day, and we're walking down the street. Zeroshio, I'll let you take it from here.
Well, I'm originally from Chicago area, so I when you've been around a big city, you get these like sixth senses when people are walking in your shadow. And I felt a figure keeping pretty quick pace with me coming up directly behind me. And I'm a big guy, so I can't really just look over my shoulder. I had a backpack on, and I'm thinking, I think this is like a mugger. We're in the streets of Atlanta. Maybe this mugger is like going to come up and try to, do a quick bump and peck and, take something out of my backpack or try to rip it off my shoulders. So I get all tense, and Versika's standing next to me. He's giving me this look like, because I start slowing down a little bit, and I've got my fist balled. About that time, I'm about ready to spin around for whoever is directly behind me, and all of a sudden I hear this voice, "What's for breakfast?" And I recognize LanguageHacker's voice, and I was like, oh, I almost laid you out in the streets of Atlanta. and LanguageHacker, a little bit of background is LanguageHacker, through a very close friend of the show, Fred, connected himself and myself up to help me practice for DreamHack Atlanta, and he helped me get a 3-0 victory over the Rat. That's about the best thing I did that weekend. And through his practice and guidance with deck building and deck selection, really helped me out a lot, and I can't thank you enough.
Oh, my pleasure. Although, to be fair, practice is good, but being able to do it in the heat of the moment is also better. So
that's true.
There you go.
It wasn't all me. It was mostly you.
So, Austin, this year, you're coming back to where you had your first major experience, where you finished top 16. And I know going in, you said you were feeling pretty comfortable with your lineup after a lot of testing. Why don't you just kind of walk us through, how you decided on the decks that you brought, and what, when you got there, what the atmosphere was like, what the experience was like that led into your 9-0 run in Swiss.
Okay. So if we're talking 9-0 Swiss, that means this year. Okay. I wasn't sure if we were talking about 2018 or 2017. So in 2018, for Austin, I actually wasn't very comfortable with my lineup. I was actually very, very concerned because the night before the deck submission, I changed my lineup at least 7 times. And if you talk to a lot of people there, this was recently after a patch. So it's a balance patch. So the meta is about to shake up. The nerfs have just gone out on Lackey, on I forget what the cards are at this point, but a pretty substantial balance patch that would actually affect the meta came out. And a lot of us were just bouncing back and forth between decks, checking ladder, watching 20 streams. Okay, what are people playing? What's popular? How do I prepare against this, against that? So I settled on something that I thought was okay, but I wasn't super comfortable with. It was actually quite possibly the least comfortable I've been with one of my lineups. Not that I picked decks that I don't know how to pilot. Luckily, the lineup had still decks that I could play well, but just in terms of, I wasn't sure how it would all mesh together, and I wasn't sure if it would be good against the field. In terms of preparing lineups, I do a couple of things leading up to it. Like I kind of just said, I watch a lot of streams. I try to play a lot of ladder. I have a couple of practice groups that I sit down with, and we talk about decks and tech cards and just the general meta. But what I normally do is I think of, let's say, 4 or 5 decks that I'm comfortable with, that I think are particularly strong in this meta, and I try to like mix and match them together and see, okay, I'm good at these decks. I know I'm good at these decks. I want to bring something I'm comfortable with, but I also want to bring something that's good against what other people are going to bring. So what I do is I open up Google Sheets. I put the 4 or 5 lists I have in mind on one side, and I put every single deck I can think of that's in the meta across the top. And I either by instinct or I look at HS Replay, I get the matchup percentages for, okay, this one deck I want to bring, how is it against every single deck in the meta? Second deck, how is it against every single deck in the meta, and so on. And to try to get a good lineup, or at least for last year standing, that's a good thing to point out. This is good for last year standing. You want to get 4 decks that are not weak to more than 1 or 2 other decks in the meta. And you can kind of like I color-coded green for like good matchup and red for bad matchup. If along your 4 deck like rows, if you see a lot of reds in a line indicating that this one meta deck is good against all of your decks, that's bad. Because you don't want your entire lineup to be weak to one specific deck, because if your opponent has that deck and they play you against it and it's favored against all of your decks, unless you're standing, if they beat you, they use it again. If they beat you, they use it again. It's okay to have 1 red line because that's the deck you can ban. For example, if your lineup's just bad against Q block, easy, you ban Q block. But if your lineup's bad against, let's say, Q block and Token Druid, that's particularly bad because that's a lot of what the meta is right now. And that probably means that's going to be a lot of what you're facing. So I spent a couple hours trying to figure that out, the percentages. Okay, based on that, I eliminated a couple decks, and I'm left with 1 or 2 left over. And after that, I have to think, okay, what deck can kind of plug this hole in my lineup? Like, let's say I am weak against Q block and Token Druid. I have 3 decks right now. I need to find a deck that can cover my bases. I need to find something that can beat Q block and Token Druid, or 1 of each. Because if I ban Q block, I at least want something that can beat Token Druid if Token Druid will beat some of my other decks. That's kind of an overarching view of how you want to build the last year standing lineup and what I generally do to try to land on something. This changes from tournament to tournament because the meta shifts, tech cards come in and out, people play different decks. A good example of this now is Malygos Druid, which we might play later today. I'm running Twig in it. In a meta where there's no weapon removal, Twig is great. Twig gives you 10 mana back. You can take a 20 mana turn. It's incredible. In a deck where there's a lot of weapon hate, Twig is bad. It's 4 mana, deal 1 or 2, and then your opponent loses it. So that's an example of a tech choice that might change from tournament to tournament. Anyways, I submitted the lists, didn't feel too great about it, but no one really felt too comfortable, so I'm kind of okay with that. Got to the place. Now, like you mentioned, DreamHack Austin 2017 was my first big LAN that I attended last year. So coming back to that same place again, it felt a bit easier this time. Not only because I've had a bit more experience, but because I knew where the venue was, I knew where the bathrooms were, a lot of that stuff.
You knew the lay of the land.
Yeah, exactly.
Comfortability, it can get you a long way, especially in a major.
Definitely, yeah. Which is why I also urge people, when you go to majors, find people you practice with, you like, streamers you enjoy to watch, just go converse with them. If you can get more comfortable in the setting, it will help you in the tournament. And even if you're not competing, I highly recommend doing that. A lot of people in the scene are very, very approachable. They're very friendly, and a lot of people go not only to compete, but to actually just be in the community and like hang out with people you don't see. For example, like Zeroshi and Frid at Atlanta. How often do you guys get to see each other in real life, right?
Yeah, we don't. And there was another point where there was a major outage at DreamHack Atlanta, and I turn around and you tap on my shoulder. I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turn around at you, and it's like, hey, I'm talking to my friend Muzzy here. Do you want to sit in on the conversation? And I'm like, yeah. And so I got to have a wonderful conversation about Hearthstone and being at my first major with somebody like Muzzy and LanguageHacker side by side. I mean, those are the moments that you cherish, and it's because of the friendships that we built in the Hearth Coach community, in the Atlanta Hearthstone community, and of course meeting yourself. And that was the big takeaway I took from DreamHack, is it's just fun. Even though my performance wasn't great, that's not what was important. It was meeting people and having those bonds and friendships that will last forever.
Yep, I can completely agree. And it never really gets old. I'll put it that way. It doesn't get old traveling to events. Now that I've been to 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. Every time I walk in the conventions are huge, by the way. If you haven't been there, it's amazing. You go in, the venues are always massive. There's literally thousands of people inside. They're all playing video games. They're all playing StarCraft, Hearthstone, literally everything. Under the sun, and it's amazing just being in there before even talking to anyone. It's literally a wonder. And then you get to know, your little Hearthstone community, and then you all start talking about decks and choices and stuff like that. It's really fun. But yeah, so I got to Austin. One of the things I look forward to the most, other than competing, is seeing everybody again. Like I mentioned, I haven't met actually a lot of, or most, let's say half the pro scene, but those I have met, it's nice seeing them again, and those I haven't, it's nice to go meet them. An example is Kit Kats. I met at Austin this year. And for those who don't know, I love playing control decks, and Control Warrior is possibly one of my most favorite decks in the history of Hearthstone.
Oh yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
love Control Warrior.
And it's Kit Kats and Fibonacci, for example. You guys might remember these names because they're warrior gods basically. And it was I didn't actually know Kit Kats was going to be there, and when I bumped into him, he actually bumped into me after like, I don't know, 5-6 rounds of Swiss when I was up 5-0 or 6-0 or something, and he was telling me, "Wow, nice score. This is good." I'm like, I'm so happy that like the one time one of the people I admire the most bumps into me is when I'm actually just doing well in a tournament. Even if I wasn't, I'm sure you would have been like, "Oh no, come on, dude, stay in there. You're doing fine," and stuff like that. But it was, I don't know. It was nice to meet him. He was a nice guy, and it's not just Kit Kats. Like almost the entire community is like this. So that's probably one of the favorite things.
That's channeling some Avanti's luck right there.
And you talk about the community as a whole, and we talk about that a lot on the show. Is the Hearthstone community, Hearthstone players in general, like when you finally just meet them in person and get to talk to them, at conventions and stuff, are just some of the nicest people. I mean, Inked in our chat is talking about, Ant. Ant's one of the most huggable, lovable guys you'll ever meet. And, you go up, you introduce yourself, go to shake his hand, he's just going to bring you in, So, I mean, the Hearthstone community overall is just awesome to hang out with. And like Zeroshio said, getting to meet all those people last year in Atlanta for us was really the highlight of the, we went to cover the tournament for the show, but getting to meet everybody was really the high point of that. So yeah, I'm glad you're starting to form those bonds with those players at those events that you're getting to see over and over at multiple events. You'll probably see them again at DreamHack Atlanta later this year in November. Are you thinking about are they doing DreamHack Denver again this year?
No, they're not.
They're not. Okay.
But there is a DreamHack Montreal.
Yep.
And you went to DreamHack Montreal last year as well, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, you didn't do terribly, but DreamHack Austin's obviously been a kind of like a sweet spot for you. Is this kind of your lucky, like home field advantage? Maybe it just is a place that just feels good to you.
Home field advantage, the farthest DreamHack I had to travel for.
Yeah, Zeroshio's not great with geography,
Yeah,
No,
geometry is not good with me. Squares and circles and all that stuff. No.
I was thinking that to myself actually. Why Atlanta? Why should I go to the other ones? Let me just go to Atlanta if that's how I'm going to perform. I don't know. I couldn't tell you if I wanted to. Yeah.
I did have a question about DreamHack. DreamHack is one of the only major. I think it is the only major that is still last hero standing. And it's also one of the major tournaments that still did use up to through last year, a closed deck list through the Swiss rounds.
Yep.
Now, there was a little bit, I know when I was in Atlanta, there was a little bit of controversy and people kind of saying that there's certain groups of people that will share data about their opponents through the round. So there's a little bit of unfair advantage. And that was, spoken in that closed deck kind of tournaments. But this year, DreamHack has gone to the open deck list format. Do you prefer that? Do you like it? Obviously, you did well at DreamHacks using both. What do you think about them going to an open deck list for the entirety of the tournament?
Personally, I'll start saying I vastly prefer open deck lists, and I'll explain why in a second. But I do want to provide a point for the other side. And some people I spoke to at this DreamHack now say that prefer closed deck lists because it allows them to be a bit more innovative. And if you bring 4 meta classes, for example, but you have completely wacky lists, it gives you a real advantage, and it rewards interesting deck building, which I think is very important. However, for like big major events that award HCT points that allow you to rack those points up and go to playoffs, I think you want to reward player skill, because the decks you bring, you still have to, craft those nicely. You still have to get tech cards in. You have to get a read on the meta and build them properly. But it's a lot harder to play well and show that you're playing well without open deck lists. And a perfect example of that is, I'll go back to the Twig example. If I know my opponent is running weapon removal in 4 decks and I have Malygos Druid with Twig, I either know that I have to take a big risk early and just equip it right on turn 4. Also, to be fair, on turn 4 is not a huge risk because if they lose it, you get 10 mana. But I'll know whether or not I have to take a risk. Whereas if I have no idea, my decisions aren't limited, but my decisions will matter less because I have no idea. And there's examples of this, specifically when you see people, the casters talking about matches, when they'll say, oh, wait, why did he kill 3 wisps instead of 4? Oh, he's playing around exactly double Savage Roar branching paths because he knows that his opponent is running those 3 cards, and he knows that he's used 1 branching paths and the deck runs 2 and stuff like that. That's a very specific example with Token Druid that's a bit more recent, and I think everyone knows that the deck runs 2 Roars and 2 branching paths. But if you apply that to a different deck, like a wacky deck that's, I don't know, maybe Twig with Faceless and Taldaram with Malygos, if you know those cards are in there, you can make decisions that let you play around combos. But if you don't, and you just get blown out by a combo, it's cool that combo exists, and it's amazing that your opponent pulled it off, but it feels bad that you didn't know you didn't know what to play around, basically.
Yeah, and something I noticed, and I've always been a proponent for closed deck lists because I like innovative decks, but I do understand on a major, it's a totally different than just like a backyard tournament or a fireside or something like that. The thing about having the open deck list, and we've noticed in DreamHacks in the past, it's kind of where, I hate to use this term, but no names kind of strive, because in my opinion, in the old closed deck list with the Swiss rounds, those players could come and bring innovative, weird deck lists that aren't necessarily have a high win rate amongst the meta, but catches you by surprise. And those people make it to the top 16, and then they kind of fall flat at top 16 because at that point it's an open deck list and they can plan for those weird, wacky tech choices. Whereas now we noticed at DreamHack Austin, a lot of your top 16 were rather, well-known. Yoetz Flow, Amnesiac, Zalay, well-known names. Yourself, Cordy97, people that have been in that pro scene, and that really fosters, to me, as a viewer of these tournaments, I want to see those names. It's nice to have 1 or 2 standouts, but when half the top 16s are standouts that just got there because of their unpredictability of their decks and not because of their skill level necessarily. Not saying they're bad, but amongst the field, they may not have been as skilled. I think that the closed deck list in something like a DreamHack is really good. And I'm eager, if I can go to DreamHack Atlanta and kind of figure out a way to get there, I'm eager to go in an open deck list format, because it would be the first time I've been to an open deck list major, and that's an experience I'd like to have.
Cool. Also, a quick note: I'm sure most of you have heard about Monsanto, a Canadian player. I think he's in Quebec. He brings a lot of wacky decks. I don't know if you saw playoffs. He brought, I think, an almost 4-quest lineup, which was unheard of because a lot of the quests are considered unplayable in competitive play. And that's not the only instance where he's brought like a wacky lineup. He brings pretty unconventional decks fairly often, and he still performs really well. And I think that's a great example of, even with open deck lists, you can have like creative decks. Even though your opponent now knows what you're playing, if it's open, your opponent has the chance to show that he can adapt to like a new deck he's never seen before and try to figure out, okay, how can I, what is my opponent's win condition? How can I stop him from doing that?
And there's always an exception to the rule where skill overtakes your creativity. Obviously, he's very creative, but just like a Stan Sifka and those people of that ilk, you can be really skilled with a creative deck. If you have that mindset and ability, you can do really well in tournaments. I mean, we even have some people that are only viewed as being good at one class or one archetype, like a Fibonacci, still doing really well in tournaments that he has to bring 4 different classes because he has such a high skill level. Just because he's known for only playing one class doesn't mean he only knows how to play one class. And Monsanto and Fibonacci and a few of those, I said Stan Sifka, are kind of that, I hate to say exception to the rule, but they are, where they balance that creativity and skill perfectly, in my opinion. And it's something, and not everybody has that skill. Some really good players out there are really good at the game, but not necessarily are deck builders or deck innovators. And that's not a bad thing. It's just a different style of play and different way to approach the game. And it's good to see that Hearthstone fosters that kind of diversity in the player pool, especially in the pro level, where it's not all just the same type of players all vying for the top spot in a 16-man top round. You have varying levels of experience and expertise, and that's just awesome. And you're amongst that ilk, and that's a huge honor, in my opinion.
Thank you.
So now I want to talk a little bit about your 9-0 run. So tell us a little bit about how you felt over the course of the day, after going into round one, after round one, and as it slowly built. How were you we watched the matches as they unfolded online as best we could. You only had a couple that were streamed, but tell us about that going into that and how you felt going into each round, after each round. Give us a little bit about what it was like to go 9-0 through Swiss.
Okay. Now, I'm pretty sure all of you have heard that I ended 9-0, but I bet most of you don't know how my first 2 sets went. Now, if you look at the standings, it shows LanguageHacker 3-0, LanguageHacker 3-0. Okay. My first opponent actually didn't show up. So that was both fortunate and unfortunate. Depending on how they count tiebreakers, if you get a default win in your first round, it can hurt your tiebreakers. So if you don't end up 9-0, let's say you finish 7-2, and not all 7-2s are guaranteed top 16. So if you end up 7-2 and that one tiebreaker puts you down quite a bit, if you don't get in because of that tiebreaker, that's really unfortunate, and there's not much you can do about that just because that's the way the bracket was randomly generated. I think, okay, well, 1-0, that's fine. All right, fine, whatever. We move on. It's a win, okay. Second opponent, I look at the Smash.gg bracket. My second opponent is Noblord. Okay, little early. I don't want to be facing these names that quickly, but okay, fine. All right, let's start looking over his deck list. Okay, wow, his lineup's pretty good against mine. It's going to be tough. I'm probably going to have to win an unfavorable. Okay, 15 minutes pass, 20 minutes pass, 25 minutes pass. Where's Noblord? It turns out that Noblord, last minute, couldn't attend the event. And his first round opponent also couldn't attend the event. So the system gave one of them a default win, which put them forward in the bracket. And that default win had the same tiebreakers as I did because they had a default win. And we faced off in the bracket, but Noblord was not there. So my second set was also a default win. Which is, again, okay, I mean, it's a win. Tiebreakers are even worse now, so I need to not get in with the 7-2. That's going to be really bad. Okay, that's fine. Let's aim for 8-1. Fortunately, the remaining 7 opponents showed up, but because I was 2-0, I was in the higher half of the bracket, and my remaining opponents were all fairly strong.
And had earned their 2-0 victories.
Yeah, exactly. No, let's not talk about that. Yeah. So I did get fortunate that 2 opponents didn't show up, but it made the remaining opponents a lot harder because everyone I had faced at that point is clearly 2-0, 3-0, and so on. So now that I've started the tournament 2-0, okay, just have to go, 6-7 wins from here, and it's good to go. But that aside, I want to preface the rest of this with that, just so it doesn't come to light later and say, hey, wait a second, you got 2 default wins. I'm like, well, but yeah, so.
Semantics, right?
Semantics. But yeah, 3-0, I'm thinking, okay, won my first set, feels okay. 4-0, same thing. All right, 2 wins. I don't want to celebrate too early. And I remember I started tweeting out because I want to keep my social media kind of more active. One thing I haven't been able to do as much is keep people informed of, okay, how are tournaments going? What am I doing? Stuff like that. So I tweeted out, okay, I'm 4-0. It's a little early. I don't want to celebrate, but I'm going to try to keep this good mindset and keep going forward. I go 5-0, 6-0. I make another tweet. Hey, we're 6-0 now. Feeling pretty good. Like 7 wins almost is guaranteed in at this point, especially if you start off with your 7 wins. And I remember with each consecutive tweet, I'm thinking, this is really good. This is really good. And I ended up at like 8-0, and I'm thinking I'm guaranteed to get in now. Like tiebreakers don't matter. All the 8-1s get in, 9-0s get in, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, what if I get 9-0? And people were telling me, dude, you're almost at a perfect Swiss score. That's incredible. You need to keep going. And I thought, okay. And I got a little carried away in my round 9 set, and I almost actually lost it. I was up 2-0. I made a mistake, and I lost the game. And I think I tilted out of the 4th game as well. My opponent did play well, to be fair. But it was a matchup I was favored in. And then it went to game 5, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm sweating now. And we did finally get the last win, but it's a little rough too after so many runs of Swiss. Regardless of what your score is, after you play 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rounds of Swiss, you are exhausted, my friend. That's across 2 days. You've played 4 or 5, you go home, you get a little bit of sleep because you're nervous, you're anxious, you're excited, whatever. You wake up again early, you get to the venue, you play another 4 or 5 rounds. It's really exhausting, but it was pretty crazy. There was a lot of let's call it trolled in RNG that showed up a little bit. There were a lot of pretty standard games. There were some highs and lows.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, we were, I guess I messaged you somewhere around the 7th or 8th round and was just like, stay calm, we're all rooting for you. And you did a great job all weekend, just really, really enjoyed watching you. In fact, I think I responded to a tweet from Royal Blue, your team, and I was just like, we've been watching this guy get better and better every single time, and it won't be long before he takes one of these things. And I strongly believe that you, I think, are one of the up and coming shooting stars in the Hearthstone pro scene, and I really look forward to seeing how you continue to do over each event. So
yeah, give a little transparency on my side. I unfortunately had to be at the hospital with my father, who is still in the hospital right now with congestive heart failure. He should be out tomorrow, but the whole time I haven't been able to watch all of the DreamHack coverage, but Avanti's are doing a good job of letting me know where your standings were. And the whole time, my dad, I told him about our meeting you down in Atlanta. And he's like, how's that LanguageHacker guy doing? Check the tournament. What's the score? So I'm checking the Cubs scores for it, and tell me how DreamHack's going. So I go checking DreamHack. And my dad plays Hearthstone, but obviously not at a competitive level. I think he finally got ranked 20 a couple months ago. Super excited. And it was just neat to have that kind of bonding with my dad at the same time of being able to root you on, because I've known you for a year now, and I feel through the Hearth Coach community and with Fred that we've built kind of a friendship between our two communities. It's just great. Now, obviously we talked about your 9-0 Swiss run. That at that point, you're obviously qualified for the top 16, and you knew it. At that point, did you look to see who your opponent might be and start game planning it, or was it just go back to the hotel or take your break and just decompress? It doesn't matter who you're playing.
So after I finished my round 9, we actually finished pretty quickly, even though we went to game 5. I think we were playing a bit faster at that point. Keep in mind this. So round 9 was around, let's say, 9:30 p.m. It started.
It was a late.
Yeah. So I finished the match. I go sit down. I'm looking at the stream matches. Okay, there's only like 2 or 3 matches left in the entire venue for round 9. And I remember sitting down, like, okay, I need to close my eyes. I need to kind of relax. They had told us we'd be playing the round of 16 match that same night, which means after this round is over, let's say at 11, whatever, we have to play another set, top 16. So now, not only have you played, 9 sets up till now, it's the second night, and you have to play quite possibly the next most important set in the tournament, because it's now your single elimination bracket. So you need to know who your opponent is. You have a bit of time to prep, look over the list and stuff. But it was kind of frustrating that we all had to play. To be fair, all of us had played the same amount at that point, so we're all kind of tired. But it was still, kind of unfortunate that we have to play fatigued. There's going to be misplays and whatever. But I sit down on the floor and I'm looking up at the stream. And Cordy comes. So Cordy is also in one of the practice groups I'm in. Cordy comes by and says, "Hey, I'm facing you." I'm like, "What? What?" And he's like, "Yeah, the guy on stream, whoever wins, is going to be above me in the standings. And this match we just finished behind me, the winner also is above me in the standings. I was 14th. After these 2 matches end, I will become 16th. And since you're the number 1 seed and I'm the 16th seed, we're going to play against each other." And I'm like, no.
Now
we had QWERTY on the show last year, so
Okay.
Yeah, it broke when I saw that you and Cordy were playing. I was like, "Yay, he made top 16! Boo, he has to play QWERTY." Because I saw QWERTY in the top 16. I was like, "Wow, we're gonna have 2 people. Maybe that'd be awesome if they could face each other in the finals. We try to get both on the show. That'd be really cool." But when I saw you were facing each other, I was like, "Oh no!" So, QWERTY's a good friend of the show as well, and I hate saying it, but I was rooting for you.
Don't tell him.
He'll never. No, he might hear this. Anyways, it was sad for us, but at the same time, it was really awesome to see 2 friends of the show get into the top 16, and we had quite a few other competitors in our community there, and that's what I love about DreamHack is people from all the various communities can just show up, compete, and make a name for themselves, or solidify a name for themselves, as you did going into the top 8.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So, all right, and then of course, you go on to defeat QWERTY in the round of 16, and end
Rio
up facing Amnesia.
No, 3-2. So
was it 3?
All the round of 16 matches, the admin, the bracket stopped working. So the admin had us just give him a sheet of paper. And when I went to go give him the sheet of paper, he's like, "Did you win?" I said, "Yes." And he's like, "Okay, that's fine." And he just put down 3-0 and moved on.
I noticed because almost all of them were 3-0s, a couple 3-1s, and I was like, "Wow, that was a really fast round 16." Because usually with round of 16 DreamHacks, you see a lot of 3-2s, and I was really surprised. But now that I know that was more of a logistical error, that makes more sense.
We did go to game 5, and I will concede that in game 5. The main reason I won was that I was playing Miracle Rogue and he was Q Block. He had Weapon, to be fair. He had Weapon. So it's an unfavored matchup, but Weapon is really good, as you guys might know. Skull of Gul'dan.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if he equipped the weapon on turn 5, he would have been dead to the 24 damage I had on board. I made a really big Edwin really early, and he just got in there.
Nice.
Yeah, and that is because that matchup is so one-sided usually. As a rogue, that's what you have to do. You have to get him to a turn where he says, "I either develop my winning condition or I stay alive." And if they choose to stay alive, then that gives you one more turn to then make him give you one more turn over and over again. That's how you win as a rogue.
Yeah.
And you did really well. That's awesome.
It was good. Yeah. After that round, so at that point the bracket was already, even though the Smash GG wouldn't let us submit the score, we could still see like who was facing who in the bracket. So I knew I would face the winner of Guys and Amnesiac. And I saw that Guys lost and it was Amnesiac. But at that point, it was, I don't know, sometime past midnight. We still have to walk back to the place. I'm thinking, I will glance at the deck list tonight. I will wake up in the morning and then I will look at them again because I am too tired to function. And then I went home. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you, at that point, you know you're playing Amnesiac, right?
Yep.
So you're going back to the hotel, and you obviously want to get a good night's rest. Do you do most of your preparation that morning where your mind is fresh, or do you try to do it that night when your memory is you're kind of adrenaline's going and you know that you might make the best decisions? What do you do at that point? What decision do you make?
So I took a glance at his lists on the way home, and I recognized that it was the lineup I've already faced 2 or 3 times in the tournament. So at that point, I was already thinking, okay, well, this is what I banned before. I'm probably going to ban this again. But after seeing that his lineup was something I faced before, and that I had come to a decision earlier in this tournament on what to ban and how to like lead and stuff, I thought to myself, okay, this is not urgent. I probably know the answer, but I can think more about this in the morning. Right now I'm exhausted and I need to sleep. Unfortunately, I did not sleep. I just kind of laid down in bed. I was too excited. I was thinking about everything, even though I told myself, all right, you need to rest. So I just woke up, took a cold shower and walked to the venue, and then I started preparing properly, like an hour before the game. And yeah, the conclusion I came to the night before was the same. I knew what to ban. His lists weren't crazy, wacky. And it was kind of straightforward from there. Well, the pick and the bans. Playing is less straightforward at that point.
Well, okay, there we go. Get my microphone to come back on. That's awesome. Like I said, you did a great job. We were really proud of you. You had a great showing, and we're really looking forward to seeing you compete at your next major and seeing you. Like I said, I really think you are improving with every single major. So, all right, that brings us to our next topic. Versika, I think you've got a little bit of news you want to talk about.
Yeah. So this week will be my last hoorah in the United Hearthstone League. It's that time, and yeah. Sorry, Sparkle. Yeah, I'm going to take a break, and is actually when we started this, when we first talked to Ferris, the agreement was that Hero Power would have one representative, and that since there were 3 of us, that we were going to rotate representation. I actually came back for season 2. I wasn't expecting to come back for season 2. I thought that rotation would already happen, and so I actually got an extra season in, and it's been really fun. We've got nothing but great things to say about the UHL and everyone in it. I've had a really fun time competing, but it's time for Hero Power to have a new representative. And I was talking with Ferris earlier today, and I'm swapping out my spot with Zeroshio, so he'll be taking my spot in the UHL, and I'm excited to see what you're going to bring to it, sir.
Well, since I knew that this is a discussion, but I did not know that a decision had been made, which I ahead of time said I'd be fine with it as long as that's what Ferris Biscuit and yourself wanted. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll be happy to step in and do my best with the league, and obviously, keep that Hero Power spirit going through UHL. That'll be awesome.
Well, and you bring a different element, just like you bring a different element to the show. This is going to be a different aspect of Hero Power that people are going to get to see. I feel like you bring a more competitive edge. So I think that, for you, I think it's going to be a good opportunity to really test your skill level against some top-notch players. And not that you don't already do that in THL, but with DreamHack coming up, and I know you're excited about competing in that major since we've been talking about it quite a bit. This is a different format, but it will kind of keep you fresh on all 9 classes. So I think it'll be really good practice for you. I know it's improved my game, even though I don't always bring the most meta of decks. Okay, so I don't ever bring a meta decks. But yeah, so this Friday at 9 o'clock is my last match. It's going to be against Nate Wolf. It's actually kind of funny because they used to call me the Wolf. So going up against Nate Wolf, I've been looking forward to this match quite a bit. We do have some special rules for this match, though. We agreed to do only basic cards and 1 expansion. So each class can only have the basic set, and then you get to pick 1 expansion. You can only use it once. So there's going to be 3 expansions represented 3 classes, and you only have the basic cards to fill the gaps between.
Cool.
All right. Well, cool. So there you have it, guys. After 2 seasons, Versika is passing the mantle on to Zeroshio, and UHL, make sure you guys tune in for his final match. Should be a doozy.
So putting you on notice, Avantes, you have 2 seasons to prep.
We'll see. All right. So yesterday we had a surprise patch come down, 11.1.
There were 11.2. I typed that wrong.
Okay, 11.2. There were a lot of updates, including some changes to cards that were not quite expected. We will have the information about the patch in our show notes. You can find that at heropowerhs.com first thing tomorrow morning when the show goes live on the site. So make sure you check those out. Also,
there is, real quick on that, and we're just going to gloss over, there was a last minute tweet today about changes made to the mechanics of Test Greymane. We do have links to that tweet also in our show notes. So feel free to check that out.
Yeah. And also today, or within the last couple days, voting is now live for the Hearthstone Global Games. You guys will remember this from last year. Each person can log into their Battle.net account and vote for players to represent their country. So if you're in the U.S., you'll pick from the U.S. representatives. If you're in Canada, you're going to vote for LanguageHacker. Right?
That's right.
That's how that works.
Nobody
right?
else there, man.
That's exactly how that works.
You get two other votes for 2 other people you want. Whichever is fine.
Yeah, but I mean,
LanguageHacker is the important one.
I just want to point this out. He says, and I quote, "I hit legend every season and enjoy memes. Everybody loves memes. Super Canadian. Who else? I mean, why else would you vote for a Super Canadian? Consistent prelim qualifier, top card slinger. Looking for your vote." So if you are in the the NA region in Canada, go select LanguageHacker to represent Canada. We can't endorse him any more than that.
So we can't move any further without the one thing I love about the HGG votes is every player has a different quote, and the cat's finally out of the bag because Teray's quote. I'm not going to read the whole quote. Just the first line was, "My name is Teray, but some of you may know me as Magic Amy." There was a huge scandal. What was it, 2015?
Yeah, it's old news.
But,
nobody cares anymore.
So I just think it's funny that it's actually out there on the site, and I have a little bit more respect for Teray for that, just a little bit more for that statement. And I just read those quotes; they're really good.
Yeah. All right, and this week's Tavern Brawl is Randomonium, which is a repeat. So, All right, that brings us to this week's deck list. As we always do, we give our guest the option to bring one of their favorite decks, and LanguageHacker offered to bring Malygos Druid. Now, I believe you said this was the deck you used to get Legend this month?
It's the deck I used for my top 100 finish at the end of last month.
Top 100 finished end of last month. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Well, then, real quick, I'm going to run down the deck list, and then I'll kind of turn it over to LanguageHacker to talk about the basics of the deck and how it works, and then we'll wrap up the audio portion of the show, and we'll play this deck a couple of games. So, the deck list is 1 Innervate, 2 Moonfire, 2 Lesser Jasper Spellstones, 2 Wild Growth, 2 Wrath, 2 Ferocious Howl, 2 Branching Paths, 2 Swipe, Twig of the World Tree, as we talked about earlier in the show, 2 Arcane Tyrant, 2 Faceless Manipulator, 2 Nourish, 1 Starfall, 2 Spreading Plague, Malfurion the Pestilent, the Lich King, Malygos, and 2 Ultimate Infestations. So take it away, LanguageHacker.
Okay, so am I supposed to explain everything, or?
Just kind of give us a broad overview of how to play the deck. Like, what are you looking for? What's a good... What are your mulligans usually? What are you looking for? Give us a broad overview of the deck.
Okay, sure. So the deck is... it acts as a very big combo sort of endgame deck with Twig of the World Tree, and of course you can jam Malygos, swing the last charge of the Twig, get more mana. You can faceless it again if you want. You can double Moonfire, you can Moonfire Swipe. There's a few combos you can do late game with a Twig and Malygos, and sometimes that doesn't always work out, and because of that we have Lich King in here as an extra threat in case you have to play Malygos early, or in case they have weapon removal for your Twig. You can try to win the game by just ramping really hard, playing a big thing, and then killing your opponent. You'll notice a lot of very cookie cutter, what's the word? Very standard Druid cards. You'll see Branching Paths, Wild Growth, Nourish for ramp as well, Spreading Plague. Malfurion's a very strong card. Ultimate Infestation is clearly a strong card. The main goal of the deck is to ramp ahead of your opponent, have removal tools so you don't die to aggressive decks, and just so you can kind of stall the game to your combo. But with the cards in here, you can also quickly form an aggressive game plan if you don't find your combo pieces. More than once, I've just killed a rogue because I've Spreading Plague their board, and then I just double branch and path them like you would normally see in a token Druid deck.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Why the 2 Faceless Manipulators?
The deck actually normally calls for 1 because it's a very expensive card, and oftentimes it can be dead in your hand. But I felt like the deck performed well when it had just the highest chance of getting like a full combo off. And with only 1 Faceless and 1 Malygos, and exactly the 2 Moonfire, you kind of need like exactly 4 pieces. And if like one of your Faceless was bottom 2 or Malygos was your bottom 2, it's like, I need to draw more, And even though you have like a deck filled with card draw, you can't necessarily draw 30 cards against aggro decks. They'll just kind of kill you before then. Sometimes you draw Malfurion and you can just tank up out of range, and that's nice. But I felt like having the extra Faceless gave me a bit more leg room to wiggle around, a bit more flexibility. I find the Faceless also works well if you so Lich King isn't part of a full combo. You can go Lich King, swing the Twig, and then double Faceless. That's a pretty cool combo. You have 3 Lich Kings now.
Nice.
If Lich King happens to stick, jam a Faceless on it. If your opponent plays a big minion, let's say you have a fully upgraded Spellstone, 1 mana, deal 6 damage. They play Lich King. Sure, Faceless that Lich King, Spellstone, hit it with like a Wrath. Now you have a Lich King.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so it's got some cool stuff like that you can do as well.
I like it. I'm a fan of the card. I was just curious because I was looking at some of the other lists to see how yours was different, and I noticed that like that one stood out to me that you were using 2 Faceless.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Sweet. So, all right. Well, Why don't you tell everybody if they're interested in following you, where they can find you online, and maybe pimp your teaching a little bit?
Sure. So you can find me on twitch.tv/languagehacker. That's spelled properly. My battle tag is spelled a little funny because I couldn't quite get all the characters in, but most of my social media is spelled properly. So twitch.tv/languagehacker. I stream there not as often as I'd like, kind of sporadically, but I'm trying to push that more now that DreamHack's over and I have a bit more spare time on my hands. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com. It's at languagehacker_. Unfortunately, someone took languagehacker, so I had to throw an underscore on. I usually post deck lists there. I post if I'm going to events. I post finishes. I post when I go live on stream. I retweet stuff I find cool in the community that other people are doing. And as of recently, I am also on gamersensei.com, so you can book me for coaching if you want. I don't know the full URL, but if you go to twitch.tv/languagehacker, below my stream window there, I have a link to Gamer Sensei, and you can find me there.
Awesome. So who better to teach you to play Hearthstone than the guy that went 9-0 at Austin?
I can think of worse. I can think of worse ways to spend my time. That's for sure.
And if you want a sneak peek of what it's like to be coached by LanguageHacker, stay tuned, because we're getting ready to watch him play this Malygos Druid on stream. So if you're listening to our audio, make sure you tune in on our YouTube page. And I guess that's going to pretty much wrap up our audio portion. We want to thank you, LanguageHacker, for joining us tonight. It was, like we said, it was an honor to have you on the show finally. Sorry it took so long to get here.
No worries. I really appreciate you guys having me on, and sorry it took me so long to get here. I mean,
yeah, no, so
I did want to give one big shout out, obviously to LanguageHacker, but also I was introduced to LanguageHacker by Fred over at Hearth Coach. And I want to give a shout out to that community, because LanguageHacker actually has been a guest on that show on Hearth Coach with Fred and Dan a few times. And this weekend I will be competing in the Hearth Coach Patron 9 tournament to try to become the 3-time Hearth Coach champion. So I just wanted to throw that plug in there. And obviously I'm going to take some of my skills I learned tonight with LanguageHacker and bring it to the competition on Sunday.
All right. So if you were joining us on Twitch or YouTube, stay tuned for the live play portion where we're going to see this deck in action. If you are listening via the audio podcast, we'd like to thank you for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at HeroPower_cast, and you can follow LanguageHacker at LanguageHacker_. You can find all of our past episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/ECMMOgamers or on our website at heropowerhs.com. If you enjoy the show and you'd like to help support and improve it, you can do so by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/heropower. You'll get access to our our patron-only Discord, and if you are a $5 or more a month subscriber, you will also get instant access to our quarterly Hearthstone tournaments. So, with all that said, we'll see you all again next week.
And don't forget to use your hero power.
I thought you were going to forget to say that time.
You thought so?
Yeah, you were late. You were late. You were late to the. You were late to the queue, sir.
Only by half a second. I have to keep you guys on your toes, on the edge of your seats.
Yeah.
Right.
I get whiplash waiting on you and Avanti's to change up intro and outro.
Well, I am firing up Hearthstone. Hacker, you about ready to play a couple of games for us?
Yeah, I'm more or less ready. I had to warm up a bit because I didn't actually bring Malygos Druid to the tournament. By the time I started playing the deck a lot more at the end of the season, it was too late. Deck submission had already passed, but I think if I had known about it before, I would have brought Malygos Druid instead.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, whenever you are ready, sir.
Sure, I'll queue on up.
So I played your list a couple of times today and went 4-3. So I'm anxious to watch you play it. I'm curious as to where I was making my mistakes.
There's well, the thing is, so Druid in general, you want to hard mulligan for ramp, hard mulligan for nourish, wild growth, so on. And to an extent, that's true. But in some matchups, you need, for example, Spellstone. You almost want to keep against a lot of the aggressive decks because
do you
even
have
if you
spectate
ramp,
turned on?
Oh, you know what? I have it turned on now. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, hopefully Frid does not see you playing because we don't want him spectating you. You know, the curse of the coach is a thing.
He's doing battle and play mode. It's fine.
Good. I see that. We just won't tell him.
I think that's the first time I've ever seen Fred playing. He's almost always watching someone else every time I see him on.
He ranks up by spectating. It's some kind of bug he's figured
out. You want to mulligan very differently against different classes / decks. Against Warlock, you almost always want ramp because their game plan is drop giants, kill you quickly.
Oh wow!
Your game plan is ramp and don't die quickly, and then kill them with Malygos.
Okay.
Against Warlocks, you might want to keep Twig as well, because most of them do not run weapon removal. I want to point out that even Lock, the deck we're facing, does run one Acidic Swamp Ooze. But even then, they don't really want to ooze you that quickly.
So is the Innervate here too valuable to keep, or do you want to throw it out for the Nourish?
So if I Nourish on 5, the turn after I will have 8 mana. If I keep the Innervate, I can UI a turn earlier. I think with 2 branching paths, I want to draw first with the branching paths before ramping, because if I ramp right now, there's not much I'm doing after that. If I had UI in hand, I might go ahead and just Nourish, but I think I'll draw a card first. So actually, because I drew the Spellstone, I think I might even gain some armor. My opponent is on coin, so he can play a turn 3 Mountain Giant.
Mm-hmm.
I have no easy way to deal with a Mountain Giant. The easiest way I have is a 6 damage Spellstone.
Okay.
Okay.
And there he did.
There it is. I think this turn I will ramp. I can't quite kill it this turn, even if I wanted to. I might have to end up Starfalling and Spellstoning this, which is unfortunate, but...
Okay. Yeah, that turn 3 Mountain Giant's really strong.
Yeah.
But you're already up to 7 armor, so...
It's true.
It negates most of that Mountain Giant.
Oh.
That is like a perfect start.
Okay. Do I want to do this? This is actually a pretty good draw because it does contest the giant.
Okay.
He can't siphon yet. He's not running Voodoo Doll. So I think I will just play the Lich King here.
And to clarify, he's not running Voodoo Doll because he is even Warlock, obviously.
Yes, correct. I would be very surprised if a Voodoo Doll came out here.
Well, the Death and Decay allows you to use the Spellstone, so...
Yep.
Yeah.
This pleases me. Ooh, interesting. I think I might actually Plague here instead of Spellstone to clear the Giant. So Death and Decay with the Spellstone right now. The Spellstone's just a medium one, so it deals 4 damage. So together it's only 7 damage. I don't really want to Hero Power the Giant, but this Plague could do the extra 1 damage I need. But I will Death and Decay to do the damage early, so I'm mana efficient, and It does kill off a Sun Fury.
Cool.
And see, that's a line I wouldn't necessarily Death and Decay there, which obviously seems like a better line, but I wouldn't even realize that. So that's a good point there.
Okay, Shrimber, that's fine. Ideal, I draw UI here. I'm not good enough to try UI. Malfurion's still really good though.
Yeah, because it'll also empower the Spellstone, right?
Yep. So I think I go ahead and Malfurion. I don't think I want the tiny spiders, the poisonous ones.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll do this. I will kill the giant, and these taunts are really annoying to get through for him. And also, if he can't kill enough of them, I can branching paths and try to use them to fight for board. So instead of trading my 2 spiders in, I am going to face tank another 8 damage. I will not, though, hit his face because I've dealt with 2 giants and Twilight Drake. I don't want to deal with the 7/7 taunt demon when you're at 15 health.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Hooked Reaver's rough there.
Yeah, they really hurt. Looks like Dread Infernal. Okay, that was still pretty good on his part. Oh, that's the juice. That's what we're looking for.
But that really sets you up for Starfall.
It does.
Well, you drew the UI, obviously, so.
I think I might still Starfall here. UI is still going to be good next turn.
Okay.
If I UI this turn, he's going to push more damage. I think I Starfall to clear. He's played a lot of big threats, so chances are he won't have that many more to develop. And this is where the 1 Starfall can kind of come in kind of nice. People don't usually play around it as much, and it's also not run too often. So it's kind of nice. I will kill off the Dread Infernal. I will use the Innervate here just to gain armor. Since I'm going to be UIing next turn, I don't need to draw all the branching paths.
Gotcha.
And using the Innervate now to sneak it in means next turn, if he develops something else big and I can't clear it, I can at least take the turn to draw.
And 4 mana, heal for 12 is pretty good.
Yeah, it is. Branching Paths is a very nice flexible card, especially when you have more mana to use it with.
So Matt at Arms in our chat says, "Is there a turn where UI isn't good?"
Yeah. Turn 4 when you can't play it. Turn 5, perfect though.
So really, you're just softening up the Lich King here.
Yep.
Oh wow! And the faceless situation that you brought up before may come into play.
Yep. Since I don't have Twig this early, I don't think I'm gonna. Well, I don't need double faceless to kill the Warlock. I think if I get Twig. But yeah.
So you could faceless Wrath, faceless Swipe. There's a lot of options here.
I want to keep Swipe because I can use it with Malygos if it ever sticks later.
True.
I'll probably use the Wrath here though. And even though this Lich King kind of just dies on board, it gives me a chance to get a really good Lich King card off of it. This was a misplay. I should have Fierce held first. I do want to draw into Twig and maybe this second Spreading Plague. By playing Faceless first, I accidentally lost 1 armor, but that's okay.
Well, you are on the hot seat of hero power, so we'll forgive you.
Okay, that's fair. So we've dealt with 2 giants. Oh, there's the second Twilight Drake. Luckily, he hasn't dropped below 15 health, so if he does play the Hook Reaver, it's at least going to be a 4/4.
Yes. And he can stay above 15 because your Malygos combo will kill him. Oh, wow.
That hurts.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to draw here. Well, I'm not going to win with Twig anymore, unfortunately. He's going to kill me much quicker than I can do that. I'm actually not quite sure how I can win from here. If I play a Malygos on the board, it'll just die. And unfortunately, I can't Moonfire one of his threats because it's anti-magic shelled.
Yep.
I think I'm going to need a Spreading Play to get out of this. And even then, it might not be good enough. So I'll draw with Nourish, which lets me play the Arcane Tyrant for free.
Is there any merit to Faceless on the 6/12?
Yes. Unfortunately, I think the deck does run 2 Spellbreakers. But I think we're in a desperate enough situation that I have to do this. I might also just be dead.
Yeah, double Hellfire? No, double Hellfire is not enough.
Not quite. Can I stabilize from here?
I wonder if he misdid the math there.
Yeah, he won phase very quickly. Even if he has... Ooh,
Yeah, I was going to say, he's probably just going to Blood Reaver.
Okay, if we do have Spreading Plague...
He didn't get a lot of value off that Blood Reaver, though.
He didn't, but we're so close to being dead that it might not even matter.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So unfortunately, I do think I need Spreading Plague to not die here. So I'm going to use Wild Growth for a draw. Hope we get exactly the second Spreading Plague. We did not. If we Ferocious Howl now, we can't actually get Plague. But anything else I do leaves me dead, so I'm going to do that. Okay. I can Armor Up and Spellstone the 6/6. I can Swipe and Spellstone, that doesn't do that much.
Well,
Actually,
swipe with the Arcane Tyrant will clear the 4/5 as well as using your 6/12 on the 4/6.
I actually do quite like that. Okay.
And it's not great, but what other options you have?
No, that's right.
He at least can't use his hero power on your Twilight Drake because of the anti-magic shell ability. So that's silver lining. He's just gonna push face.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that hurts.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. Twig, huh? I don't know about that one. Okay. Same thing. I think we need exactly Spreading Plague here. Do we? Yeah. Okay, we did get it. So this has to be played. I can play the Tyrant.
Can't quite fit in the swipe.
Yeah.
Can't afford the Obliterate. Do you have to face tank? No, then you're dead if you do that.
Yeah, if I face tank, I'm a little...
Yeah.
If he doesn't have either Hellfires here and can't get through these... okay, well, never mind on that.
Double Hellfire.
Yeah.
I had a feeling he had the double Hellfire because of the attack last time, but he was 1 damage off.
Yeah. He actually drew the second Hellfire this turn. But
did he? Okay.
Yeah. From his perspective, that's what you want to do against this deck. If your opponent does not have the combo and is trying to find it, just kill him. Yeah, so in that game we ramped a lot, which was good, but we faced a lot of pressure early, which is why Even Lock is a difficult matchup. You can do a bit better against Q Block because they don't run weapon removal and their giant comes down 1 turn later.
Okay.
This deck is really good against some of the aggressive decks. It's good against Token Druid, it's good against Odd Rogue. It's okay against Miracle. And the reason why is you can armor up a lot with Malfurion, with Branching Paths, with Ferocious Howl, and Spreading Plague is just really good against decks that go wide on board.
Okay, so you're up against another Druid. Yep. Since Token Druid is so prevalent and you only have 1 copy of Starfall and you're on the coin, do you consider keeping it here?
I don't think so. And the reason why is it's unlikely he's just going to play Border Wisps because they die to swipe very easily. So if he gets to a point where he wants to develop, he'll likely be doing Wisps and then Soul of the Forest, which won't happen until much later. If he does go Wisp, Soul of the Forest, I can't actually clear it unless I have Swipe and Starfall, which I might very well have at that point. But I'd rather just look for Spreading Plague, because if he goes wide and I play Spreading Plague, he can't really get through it easily.
Okay. Well, he's ramping, so that's a good indication that he is, at the very least, spiteful, right?
Not spiteful.
No, not spiteful.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It could be Token
Spiteful
Druid.
doesn't run the Wild Growth. Yeah, it's Token Druid. Could have been Token or Taunt at that point. I've seen more Taunt lately.
So we drew Twig.
We got the Twig. Twig's great.
We normally don't equip Twig this early against board decks because Twig doesn't do too much. But we don't have much else to do with our hand anyways. And even though we do want to draw, the Twig can help clean up some of the Valid Teacher little guys, which I think is okay. I could go Branching Paths, I could go Howl. I think I'd rather go Howl this turn. If I draw Wrath, it lets me clean up the Valid Teacher.
Yeah.
If I draw Spellstone, I can technically clear the Violet Teacher too. Branching Path, so not quite, but that's fine. And now I can only Hero Power, but the question is if I hit the Violet Teacher or the 1/1. I think I'll hit the 1/1 here in case he does have like Soul of the Forest.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Soul of the Forest would hurt you right here.
Oh boy, that's ha.
Yeah, and he had the Soul of the Forest.
Okay. Wild Growth. I think I do have to throw out Malfurion instead of ramping again this turn.
Yeah, I think so too.
I kind of need something on the board.
Do you make a value trade or do you knock off one of these 1/1s?
Just
replace with the 2/2 is a problem.
Yeah. I think I am gonna knock out a 1/1. If I drop Plague or Swipe, I'm kind of in an okay spot because it'll help me clear up the board. It doesn't let me deal with the first half effectively, but if he makes trades into the 1/5, it could help a bit. Okay.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay.
Evolving Spores. That's an interesting tech in Token Druid.
Yeah. I think some lists are running it as a 1/of.
Okay.
As it's kind of like a third Soul of the Forest. Sometimes you get Death Rattles, sometimes you get like you can get a lot of good stuff. So unfortunately, so far we have not drawn Spreading Plague. That would be really good here. It would have been good last turn too. And this is why Twig isn't that great early on. Starfall.
Starfall's not terrible if you hit the 2/1.
I just want to point out that the #1 deck on Tempo Storm's meta snapshot right now for Standard is Token Druid, and it does run Evolving Spores. So that is just a grabbed right off of Tempo Storm's website built deck.
Yeah, because the list I have, of course, I have Muzzy's list. Didn't have, because I'm a big fan of Muzzy.
So I'm going to armor up here instead of playing Wild Growth. The Twig is that one swing, and I'm going to have to swing with it next turn. I'm probably going to go Lich King and then swing UI. Because of that, the Wild Growth doesn't matter for ramp, and I can armor up for 3 instead.
Gotcha.
Okay.
It really hasn't done too much in the way of damage yet.
Oh, he's getting in there this turn, don't worry.
Yeah, this turn is definitely going to be a lot of damage.
You should be able to stabilize off the back of this, though. And this is one of the big, power... Oh, that hurts. That really hurts.
That might be
interesting.
Spreading Plague.
Okay, I like that a lot more. It means I don't use the Twig this turn, but I think Lich King UI is weaker against this board than Plague is.
I would agree.
This time, I will actually Wild Growth. And the reason why is I can UI. I'm probably not going to swing Twig next turn either, unless I get something good off of the UI. So by Wild Growthing, it means I can UI next turn. I can see what I get off of it and decide if I want to swing and develop the rest of the 10 mana I have left over, or if I want to just UI for the draw and then wait for like a Malygos swipe turn.
That's fair. And he's going to have to do some work to get through this anyways.
Oh, yeah.
See, this is where I would have screwed up because I would have swung with the Twig, and then I'd have double branching paths on that board.
Okay. There's some decisions that are really not intuitive and easy to make when you're like in your death throes trying to figure out how to stay alive.
Yeah.
But at some point you have to swap game plans and kind of.
So he UI'd there and didn't get the value of the 5/5.
Yep, and that's unfortunate because he had the both Violet features on board. It's great for me. Unfortunate for him.
So swipe looks clean here.
was gonna say, so do you just rid the board of Violet Teachers with swipe?
I think I actually will. So I'm probably going to swipe branching paths, hero power, swing, and then UI with the second half.
Okay.
Nice.
I think that's good. Is that good? That's probably good. I should actually kill the Tyrant instead. I can trade a 1/5 into the...
Yeah. And when you branching pass, is that for armor?
One of them will be for armor. One of them will be to bump these guys to attack so that they trade with the treants.
Gotcha.
Fortunately, both Soul of the Forest are gone here. I almost forgot to do this. Armor up. Both Soul of the Forest are gone here, so if he develops another board at this point, we do something. Am I going to be able to play it? I'm probably not going to be able to play it. Yep. If he develops a second board, like of Wisps or something, he can't give them Death Rattle. So at this point, we don't have to like OTK him. If we just survive, we should probably win because we have real threats left. We have Lich King and Malygos, which are...
You drew a Moonfire, and that really wasn't... You wouldn't want to play the Moonfire anyways, right?
I would play the Moonfire here. There's very few big minions you want to go like Malygos Moonfire in with this deck, and we've already used Twig, so OTK won't happen with Malygos. I would have Moonfired here if I saw the draw before my turn ended. But sometimes, against lower decks, you'll want to keep the Moonfire for like a Malygos, tempo play where you go Malygos, Moonfire for 6.
Mm-hmm. So we've taken a lot of his steam out now.
Yes.
You had last turn. Did he go get a Yoo-Hoo and a Hot Pocket? Oh, there he goes.
I think he's thinking. His game plan is not as good now since he's running Blade Masters, I see.
Okay. And both of his it's kind of a passive play. Both of his Violet Teachers are gone.
Yep, this is true. So he's used 1 Wisps. It looks like he is running Power of the Wild as well. I probably do want to swipe here. He's emptying his hand, which means he probably wants to use second UI.
You swipe. You're gonna swipe the 5/8, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I can use the 4 damage spell to clean that up. I could consider facelessing here just for tempo.
Okay. So you're not really going to have a combo turn 2 faceless.
Yeah, I'm thinking if I could try to save it for later after he's used his threats and try to jam one of my own threats and faceless it, but I actually think a 5-mana 5/5 here is just good enough. The Moonfire I'm using anyways to get rid of one of these Wisps.
Yeah.
And also this way if he UIs, he can't clear the second Infestor, which means I can trade my 5/3 left over into his 5/5.
Gotcha.
He might not have it. Okay, he has it. And this is one of those turns where you've dealt with a lot of steam. You no longer have your combo, that's fine. But I can remove everything on his board and develop a Lich King, which is insane. And he likely won't be able to clear. He might actually at this point. He could go like swipe Spellstone. I have to consider here if I want to UI or if I want to Lich King clear. The thing is, UI will not have that many more targets going forward. Like the only other target will be the second Tyrant. And this is the only time I have 10 mana hanging out. So I think I will UI here, and I'm going to trade instead of going face because board is more important to me.
I find it real interesting hearing your process go from one game plan to the next, and then sometimes back to the original game plan. That's one thing that's always been intriguing to me about seeing that next level play and that thought process going through. So thank you for walking us through that.
No problem. The thing, you won't see this with all decks, but this deck in particular, you have to be able to switch game plans very quickly because literally, as you said, from turn to turn, the way you win can change. You saw me equip Twig. I immediately realized, there's no way I can wait for Malygos. I need to make a turn right now with an extra 10 mana. And then you make it. The Part of the reason why this deck is so powerful is because it has a lot of defensive tools. You have some big threats. You have an OTK potential. So you kind of, ping pong back and forth between, all right, how do I win?
I'm kind of surprised he went spiders there. Especially seeing our hero power. Yeah, obviously deals with one of them.
This is true. I could go Malygos here. Also go, I think I'm going to Lich King instead of Malygos. And the reason why is because I can go Lich King, hero power, innervate out the Spellstone.
Yeah. And now you're representing 13 points of damage on the board.
Yeah. I have Lich King, I have a Faceless. He probably has to take this turn to go second Spellstone, second swipe, because you don't want to leave a Lich King up.
Yeah.
Plague is not good for him. He summons 2 1/5s. Both Soul of the Forest are gone, so I'm not scared of second Wisp, Soul of the Forest. Second Wisps alone is okay.
We whiffed on the Army of the Dead because we have no more minions to pull out.
Yep. Unfortunately, that's one of the worst ones with this deck because you don't want to pull out a 5-mana 3/3 from your deck.
That's very true.
And you have a lot of spells too, so you have a high chance of destroying important cards. But that's okay.
They go Lich King as boss.
Yeah. I actually, I've been very lucky for the past 2 expansions. I usually save up a bit of dust, and then when I see a really cool card I want, I think I'm getting that golden one and nothing else golden because it's expensive. And luckily, every single golden legendary I've crafted at the start of expansion has been pretty playable.
Well, see, if you were Avantes, you just get any golden every time a set comes out.
Yeah.
So he did not have the second spells. Oh no, he used both spellstones, so he did not have a way to clear.
Yeah.
So
He
used
still
both
has
Souls of the Forest.
Yeah, so he has 2 roars left and a branching path. So the thing that scares me the most right now is just leaving these up. I've used both swipes. I want to take this whole turn to kill as many wisps as possible. By doing that, I can go Wrath, hero power. That deals with 3. I have 2 minions on board. I can trade to 2 more, and then there's only 2 left, which aren't that threatening.
Given our deck size, do we Wrath for 3 just to keep from drawing?
I have Spreading Plague, Nourish, and Moonfire left.
Okay.
I don't think I need any of these cards to win. I could try to draw Plague, but it also gives him a Plague then.
So sure. Do you Furious How first?
No, I don't even think I need to do that. I think I will do this. So, like I said, I want to clear a lot of Wisps. However, I'm not going to have a chance to play Faceless for the next turn or two because he's going to throw everything as much as he can on the board in the next turn or two. So I'm going to jam the Faceless now, which is, if I didn't play the Faceless, I'd be doing another Wrath to clear a 1/1. So it's either remove a 1/1 or gain an 8/6, and I think that's pretty comparable considering he's going to go Roar this turn.
And he still has 1 Power of the Wild left, too, if he runs 2 of.
Yep.
At least
Go ahead.
I was going to say, at least one of our Death Knight cards was decent.
Yeah.
Yep. One of yeah.
1 out of 3? Is that our odds now?
That's fine. Hey, I think we're going to win this game, so if 1 in 3 odds is what it takes, then that's fine.
1 in 3 is still 1 out of 3?
Yeah.
So I can pretty much pinpoint 6 of the 10 cards in his hand.
Yep.
Well, no, he still hasn't played any Plagues either, so that's 8 of the 10 cards.
He may only be using 1.
He hasn't played 1 even.
Right.
Yeah. So it's very it's very difficult from his point here because even if he does go Roar and clears this board, he's behind in fatigue. He'll be fatiguing faster. He has no more threats to put on the board, and I still have Malygos.
So that makes us 1-1. Do you want to play one more game and try to get best 2 out of 3?
Of course. If you guys have time, I would prefer to go 2-1 instead of 1-1.
Yep.
Yeah,
Let's
definitely.
If it looks like I'm going to lose, pretend to cut out.
I can make that happen in post.
Okay, perfect.
The magic of the man behind the curtain. He is our Wizard of Oz.
Okay. So Hunter, if it's not Cube Hunter, is a very good matchup because you have too much armor gain and survivability for them to kill you.
So you hope this is Spell Hunter.
Yes, Spell Hunter is a good matchup for this deck. Cube Hunter is still okay because you can ramp up and play threats before they can, and it's a funny thing. When they play like Katharina and stuff like that, you can faceless that. Sorry, not the Katharina. You can faceless their King Crush. That's okay.
Yeah.
You take a 5-mana 8/8 charge. But yeah, it looks like it's not Spell Hunter or Cube Hunter. It looks like a more aggressive
mid-range to aggro.
Yeah.
It's obviously not Cube Hunter because the Dire Mold would throw off the Katharina list, right?
Yep. So I could go. I probably don't want to branching paths. I do want to remove at least one of these this turn. I can go Swipe or Spellstone. Spellstone means I have to Hero Power 2. I don't want to Hero Power that. I think I'd take the turn to Swipe. And then next turn I can be a bit more flexible with my mana because Spellstone's cheaper.
Either way, you take a deficit of 3 damage.
Yep.
But you get the bigger one off this way.
Oh, so he's running Secrets too, which means he might also have Spellstone. I think I will Howl here. I can Hero Power this guy down. Howling also advances my Spellstone. I'll Howl first and see what I get. If I get like a Wrath, I might cycle that instead. We didn't, but that's fine. Malfurion's really good.
Yeah. Malfurion's real good.
With double Arcane Tyrant, if we pick up a Nourish, Starfall, or Spreading Plague, that's really spicy for us. In a good way.
Yeah, he'll struggle to deal with that.
Spellstone? Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Perfect. We could draw with this. I think I'd rather ramp because I can draw with Branching Paths next turn, and ramping means if I draw Lich King, Malygos, or UI. I mean, ramping in general just gives you a lot more stuff to do.
And do we clear one of these with the Spellstone?
I will, yes. Since it is a more aggressive deck, before he plays Rexar, there's not that many big things you want to Spellstone. So I'd rather Spellstone now, ease off some pressure. It can still clear something big later with Rexar, but we worry about that later because at that point we'll be cycling through our deck and drawing more powerful cards.
So we'd love to see an Ultimate Infestation next couple turns.
That would be beautiful. I would not complain about that. Okay.
That's a rather aggressive line. That almost makes me think that's a Freezing Trap, one of those two.
Probably is. I can Hero Power of a Cobra if it's Venomous Trap. If it's I don't think people are running Snake Trap, but he might be. But it does look like it might be a Freezing. Okay.
Yeah.
And I will just.
But I mean, Freezing doesn't hurt too much because if you get another 5-cost spell, the Arcane Tyrant just becomes free.
Yep, which is why Tyrants are really good in this deck and against Hunter because, again, like you said, it reads cost 0. It doesn't say cost 5 less, it says cost 0. So yeah. you get another 5-mana spell, it's free, which is great. I chose the Hero Power here to clear Wolf instead of Wrath. Your Hero Power is very strong at clearing, not only just... Oh, he's running Cube as well. He is running Cube. Interesting.
That's weird considering he runs Dire Moles. Could if he runs Katharina in this list, which he probably doesn't if he's running Dire Moles, because Katharina could pull a Dire Mole. You don't want that.
Okay. I don't think I'm at risk of dying in the next couple turns, so instead of armoring, I'm drawing to find exactly this card UI.
Yep.
I could have buffed my minions to deal with the 3/3 wolves, but I don't think these beetles are what's gonna lead me to victory. So I'm just gonna leave them up for the meantime. I don't want to proc any traps by hitting face.
That's fair. And we know the trap up is either explosive or wandering monster. It could be a misdirection, right?
That would be really interesting.
But misdirection is not too many builds right now.
Yep. Okay. An important thing to note about Hunter is they do
Twig
not
and
run.
Malygos.
Yeah, they do not run weapon removal. So this game, I could, since I have a board now, I could try to push this board and be more aggressive and just try killing him. Or since I have Twig Malygos and I don't think I'm in danger of dying in the next couple turns, I could try just completing the OTK with Twig.
Okay.
And depending on how he trades here, that's going to decide what game plan we go with. If he tries to go all face, we'll probably go Plague Twig and try to just tank up for a while. Yeah, and that's what he's doing. If he trades off a bit, we could try to take a different line. He's used one kill command. So if I don't armor up this turn and I go like Plague Twig, I'm not going to die over the top. And because of that, I'm pretty comfortable doing this.
We'll use the Twig to take out one of the 1/1s, right?
Yep. How do you want to trade this? I think I'll trade the Tyrant like this.
This will leave 2 minions at 1 health.
I'm actually not going to trade the Infestor into the Wolves because it's pretty weak to a Deathsucker Rexar.
Okay.
It's a little greedy, but I don't think he can get through these 4/1/5, so I'll wait for him to make some trades and I can use a swipe next turn. I don't need swipe works with Malygos obviously after I use the Twig, but I don't need full combo to kill a Hunter.
Silly Hunters. We don't need full combo for you.
We could, like I said, when you build a board like this, even with your defensive tools, you can just branching path and hit them for a ton. I'm not going to, but this board state can kind of show you like the win condition of this deck can bounce back and forth.
At this point, we just want to manage the board and sustain because we can finish him off with the combo and 2 Moonfires, right?
Exactly. I will proc the trap actually here, just because I want to swing at something with my face, and I don't want to swing at these guys.
Gotcha.
I can trade this guy in. Okay, so it is freezing, and that first trap is still explosive or wandering monster. I'll make this trade in case it's explosive, and then hit face. It is wandering monster,
which is probably the best, considering we have the Starfall and the swipe.
Yeah. So I would probably play the branching paths here for armor, just because I know I'm not gonna. I'm gonna kill him with the OTK at this point, but I think if I play branching path, he's gonna concede.
Gotcha.
And I kind of want to play the combo.
That is fair.
Spellstone, okay. I'll go Starfall here to get the Tyrant out of my hand. Oh, you know what? I should make this trade first. It's probably explosive, this one. Although it could be Wandering Monster.
I can't remember if it was his furthest most card or not.
Actually, I'll just face tank this. Okay, we are skirting a little bit on the edge here, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is just nice to get the combo off because, to be fair, it's not super easy to find a game where you can get like the full Twig Malygos Faceless Moonfire combo, because you have to give up combo pieces to stay alive. You have to do other stuff to win instead. No, that's 2 Henge Clan thugs.
Yeah. Really can't afford to take the damage on that. Can we?
We can if we branching paths.
Okay. Branching path hero power.
Yeah.
Hope he doesn't concede.
Pretty much. I mean, a few turns back, there's a lot of play. We could have cleared the board completely and then just pushed our own board, and that would have won us the game. But I wanted to go out with fireworks, so we'll see if we can make that happen.
Well, glad he got the Eagle Horn bow, which that would make that Henge Clan thug real dangerous. So now he has some hope. Ooh, wow, double faceless.
This is the
The dream.
It's not the maximum amount of damage you can do, but if you've used both your swipes, which we have, it is the most you can do. It's 32 damage with the 2 Moonfires. You have 3
the
Malygos.
trick is
No!
he saw it coming.
He knew.
He must watch Hero Power.
Next turn, it would have been.
I'm sure that's why you can see it.
That's exactly why.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would have been the combo. You play Malygos, you swing, faceless, Moonfire, Moonfire. Each Moonfire does 16, and your opponent dies.
Oh, that's great.
Nuts.
Mad at Arms says we were stream sniped.
That's okay.
Oh man, that was great. Well, that's pretty much, you get to see how the deck works exactly. So
real quick,
that's great.
We did get our resident Brainiac Mad at Arms. He's in our Hero Power Discord for our patrons. He has lots of good information about the meta. He said that is Orange's hybrid hunter.
Oh, okay. Interesting. With cubes.
Have to look that deck list up.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the show. And, man, it was awesome having you on this week. We greatly, like I said, greatly appreciate you coming on and taking the time to come and teach us to play Malygos Druid and to talk through your experiences at DreamHack. It was a lot of fun tonight.
My pleasure. It was fun talking about it, and it was nice having a good conversation with all 3 of you.
Yeah, and just a reminder for those that do mainly just watch the play portion, we do have some listeners that do that. If you also want to get some coaching tips from LanguageHacker that top aided DreamHack Austin here in 2018, you can go to Gamer Sensei and look up LanguageHacker and do that there.
Yep.
That's right. So, all right. Again, if you want to check him out, he's on Twitter at LanguageHacker_. So, with all that said, if you guys have any questions or comments about the show, please email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions about this deck list, send them to that same email address, and we will pass them along to LanguageHacker and try to get a response back to you. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button below on YouTube if you've not done so already, or give us a follow on Twitch to be alerted when we go live. Also, give LanguageHacker a follow on Twitch as well. And if you're interested in checking out or playing in our Hero Power Patron Invitationals, you can learn more about that at patreon.com/HeroPower, and go vote for LanguageHacker for Hearthstone Global Games. We'll see you all again next week.